marriage actually starts by faith. It is a journey. There are ups and there are downs. But eventually, faith is one thing that pulls you through together.
And marriage is sustained by faith. Welcome to Covenant Marriages. My name is Omo.
And I am Eunice.
Today we are discussing with a couple on the topic building faith together. The ups, the downs, the journeys. It's about faith. Don't go anywhere.
Covenant Marriages will be right back.
Welcome back to Covenant Marriages. We are speaking with the Olaleyes. Almost 18 years of marriage, and our topic is building faith together.
Congratulations on your 18th wedding anniversary.
Thank you.
What does it feel like being married for 18 years? Does it feel like yesterday? Because most people say it feels like yesterday. To you, does it?
Well, really, it's like we are just starting. It's like we are just starting. We have not scratched anything.
We are just starting.
Yes.
18 years.
What will we say?
Adult marriage.
We that we are not up to 10. Where are we?
A lot of discoveries every day. So
Amazing. So would you want to tell us how you met?
we were in school together. Unijos. We finished from Unijos.
Okay.
It was in the fellowship of Christian students. In the choir.
Choir. Interesting.
I was the choir director.
Okay.
She was one of the members.
What part was she singing?
Soprano.
Aha. Okay.
I had handed over to another choir director and was almost leaving school. We've been friends, but at a time it was like a dawning in the heart that this is the person. And I didn't hear any voice, I didn't see any vision, but I just had that knowing within me that she fits into the assignment I believe that God has given to me. And then I started getting closer,
Recognizing.
just discussing and getting to know her better than just. And the more we discuss, the more, the peace I feel in my heart that this is the person. Is now to deliver the manifesto.
Did you deliver it in songs?
Oh my.
Not really, because it wasn't something that I really planned for. One morning, I was just reading the scripture. I said, "Let down the net."
Hey!
Wow.
Eunice, let down the net.
And that was Jesus talking to Peter. Peter
Yes.
refused, but he said, "Nevertheless, at
thy
thy
word."
word." That was just what gave me that confidence, because aside that, there's nothing that, and I have one thing, if I'm convinced about something, I go for that. It doesn't matter how. I think she will speak better in that respect. And I just say, well, the worst is no, but at least this thing I'm feeling in my heart, I must. With that word, I went and I delivered.
Your mandate or your
I delivered
manifesto.
And it took our time, a lot of struggles, but eventually the yes came. For me, whether it was yes or no, I had a conviction and I want to see how. But interestingly, for her, it was more spectacular because she already saw it far ahead. She will speak better. I think she can.
We want to hear.
You hear your side.
So it's a part of my faith journey, because for me it's just like I see this is a nice babe. Let me go and toast. That was it wasn't toast like that, but I didn't, it wasn't like a spiritual thing, but I just had that. I think maybe she should share her own part.
Oh,
then
yes,
if
we're
there's,
quite
other
interested.
things I can-
Like you said, we met on campus and we're in the same choir, and he happened to be my choir director. But at that time, we were relating just like any normal brother and sister would relate, you know. So there was a time we went on, it's either ASU strike or long vac, and I was in Sokoto. In fact, the revelation came while I was in Sokoto, that he came to propose to me. And when I agreed, I had this inner peace, this overwhelming peace within me. So I was like, this brother was, you know, and then I think you had even rounded off, you've handed over to another person then. So I was like, you know, okay, I just prayed over it, but I was just waiting to see how will this come to be, you know. So when we resumed, when we came back from the strike, you know, I started distancing, you know, when you know that kind of experience now. I didn't want a situation whereby there will be this closeness I'll now bring about that dream thing, you know. So even though, you know, I was now giving a little distance, and I was like, I don't want to be the one, let it not be that it's my closeness to him that will create that kind of thing, you know. So, but he comes around, he visits, and, you know, and then one day, just like I dreamt, he came to my room in the hostel, and like he said, he delivered. You know. But even though I had gotten the revelation ahead, I wasn't too comfortable saying yes. You know, I was just looking at so many circumstances around him, you know, that kind of thing, you know, as he was still a student, you know.
No, we're not there.
You know, but
You
so
need to-
I had that inner struggle. In fact, that was, if there is a time in my faith work, as in my work with God, that I came to realize that what it means for your will to give way to God's will. That was a spectacular moment in my life, because it was, we could laugh over it now, but then it was a bit difficult for me.
What made it difficult?
Good. Well, that's very weak. I had three suitors came.
Oh baby.
3 of them came, and he's the youngest. He's a lowest in everything. The other ones were already established, you know, and he is just a student. So it was like, you know, it's just like, you know what we ladies want, the natural lady, you know, that
So
kind
you
of,
started
you know, you want
with
a guy that is already established,
Working.
have good cash, you know, that kind of thing. But on his own side, it wasn't so. But my conscience, I know deep down that, okay, this person is truly, God has shown him ahead. And he knows that people will come in this manner. So he has gone ahead to show me. So I had to, like, okay, seek the counsel of 2 or 3 elders around us. And they said, okay, if God has shown it, I should. The word that kept me going is, there is no other way to be happy in Jesus than to trust and obey.
Wow.
So it was a time of brokenness for me, you know, as a person, but I obeyed. And as soon as I gave him the yes, truly that peace came. Until now, the peace has not left.
Hallelujah.
Yes, so he's
So
I
it
think
has
he's the
been a
most peaceful
faith journey
person I've
from-
ever come across.
Wow.
Yes.
It has been a faith journey from the
Onset.
beginning. Amazing.
You know what's coming to my mind? When a music director proposed to you, God has to give you a song.
And
Trust and obey, for there is no other
Other
way
way
to be happy
in Jesus,
but
but to trust and obey.
Interesting. So, I mean, can we now then come to, because you mentioned that the other guys were established. At that time, he was a student. But so, I mean, he's no longer a student now. You understand? But walk us through that journey from graduating university and then how God established him, both in your heart and then in life.
It's a long story, but I just pray God to help me shorten it so we don't spend the whole day here.
18 years is
You
a
know,
long
so
time.
when he proposed to me, like I said, I had that inner peace within me. But the situations around him, one, the background, then the financial status, you know, were like giving me a little anxiety. But we took it all to God in prayers. I took it to God in prayers, and the courtship began. We courted for 6 years. Yes, 6 years. And we made up our mind that we're not going to defile each other until we are married, like the Bible said. So we're ready to work with it. You know, so after, I didn't know it was going to be that long, because he has to graduate, serve, then trying to hustle, get a job, have enough money, you know, it kept delaying. At the point I was almost getting discouraged, you know, but I still had to wait. And as God will have it, the 6th year we got married. So when I came into his life, it was like the Genesis chapter 1 story. You know, when the Bible said, you know, the earth was without form, you know, and void, you know. But one thing that really kept me going, that he was a man of vision. Even the day I told him yes, he had already told me where he was going. So he told me, look, he's going to be a teacher, and that he's going to own schools. So I shouldn't be worried about what I am seeing at the moment, and that I will live a comfortable life. I shouldn't be afraid, you know. So he gave me those words of encouragement, you know. So we began the faith journey, but we still meet to pray. So we cultivated a family altar where we pray every morning before we launch out into the day. So shortly after we married, he also wrote out a confession, you know, as in what he wants the family to be like. So after prayer every morning, we say this confession, you know. Then it looked so ridiculous, because it's just like you're saying, I'm going to be on operating on this side, and you're still down there, you know. But we kept, you know, confessing, we kept, you know, and gradually our lives began to tilt to the whatever that we were confessing. And then we saw God helping us step by step, and, you know, we're able to wade our way through to where we are today. So since he already said he's going to be a teacher, and I also love teaching, but I told God something, because I talk with him like a father. I always say, God, I love to teach you, but the only problem is that this teaching work, money is always...
Yeah, reward is always in heaven.
Yes, I said, no, I don't want a teacher that will just be living from struggling to, you know. I told God that aspect. I said, I want you to do something about it. And God began to help us. He was teaching in an international school when we got married. I also got a teaching job. So even when a banking job came, shortly after we married, I had to like decline. I wasn't ready for it, because already he has told me this is the path we are taking. So ours was just to keep praying, God, bring it to reality. We don't have the money, we don't know the know-how, but we know you will definitely see us through. You know, so we got, okay, he got to the school. He was teaching in the school, and they were about relocating to Shagam. He spoke with the madam, the boss, and that the wife is also into teaching. So if she could grant me space in that same school so that we could all go together. So that was how the employment came. I went to that school, had an interview with the woman, and when she went through my CV, she said, "No, you are more than a teacher." I said, I didn't know what she saw. I know, but the only thing I know is that, okay, I've lectured, and then at the same time, I've also served in different, maybe those were the things that were reflecting in the CV anyway. So she said, "You're more than a teacher." So she made me the head of admin.
Wow.
So instead of, because there was a vacant position then that needed to be filled. She said, "No, she wouldn't want me to teach. I should come and head the admin department." So that was how that opened up. So my salary was like times 3 or 4. The thing just tripled, and you know. And 2 of us were in the same school, like we said now, but you hardly will know that we are married. He minds his business in his own department as a HOD of the science department, and I mind my own too. So when we close, we meet at the gate and we go home together. So after working there for a while, the demand of the job became quite cumbersome or heckling for me. So I decided to resign, because I've had my first baby. I was preparing for the second child, and looking at the way the work is, I knew that the experience I had in the first pregnancy, if that experience comes true in this second one, I would not be able to cope with the work. So I dropped my resignation letter. And I was so surprised that he didn't even say, "No, why can't you?" You know, he didn't force me, because ordinarily you say, "Oh, you are the one, you are bringing the bigger whatever. Why can't you just, you know?" No, he said, "Are you convinced?" I said, "Yes, at this point I need to." So I resigned.
Wow.
And then after a short while, I started running a bookshop within my community there. So the bookshop started, and he was still there, you know.
Established
There. And later moved to another international school again, which was still better in terms of remuneration and all the other whatever. So it's from that bookshop, while we were there, that the school stuff came up.
Amazing.
You know.
I love the fact that your journey started with a word. I just want you to walk us through, from your own angle, like what kept you, especially for 6 years before you got married, and then the beginning of your marriage where it looked like it was rocky. What were practical steps that you had to take to build your faith as a couple?
Well, it has to take consistent encouragement, because for me, it's just very sure we are getting there. And that's how the journey of faith, what I've come to realize, that taking action and then be willing to do the waiting. Because even when you take action, you don't get there just like that. So from time to time, it has to be a consistent encouraging her, because I want to use this opportunity to appreciate her. I was in Yaba for a great while before we moved to. I do play keyboard there, unpredictable and others thing. We come from the same place. We are still the same place. We come. I do carry my baby in the rain, in this thing, and she sees a lot of things, but not turning the family to another thing just because we are not there yet. But I do tell her all these things will come. Just but for her to have that courage. So I want to really appreciate her for that. And I don't relax in my work with God, personal work with God. And then encouraging my wife and my kids also to partake in the things of God. I grew up from a Christian home before I gave my life to Christ, but there's nothing like a regular meeting. But for her, it was regular. And when she made that suggestion, we integrated it into the family no matter, and thank God that based on our schedule, so our schedule accommodated that. And so there's no excuse. But then it's now, I know initially it wasn't easy. Sometimes we skip because maybe you are tired, you are this, but you will still continue. You miss it, you still continue. So those little things are for me, they are very essential, and still encouraging ourselves to serve in different capacities that God has given us to. Those are just the things I can remember now.
Okay, thank you, sir, for that thought. This is still Covenant Marriages, and we are still speaking with the Olaleyes. We will be right back after this short break.
Welcome back to Covenant Marriages. We are still with the Olaleyes, and they are sharing their faith journey with us. Sir and Ma, as we love that you started this marriage by faith.
Yes.
There was a word, there was a song. All of these are and then there were two of you, and you have established that there are certain things that you have done, like praying, confessing the word. Is there more that you want to share with us on how you have built yourself this far?
One that just came to my heart now is concerning how taking the step to help other people can also be a step of faith to bring to pass what you are trusting God for. At a point in time, my friend he was a banker, and he had a property, and he called me knowing my field. He wanted me to start a school for him, and it wasn't that easy because we've been friends, and again the axis at which the location of the school was going to be is quite far from mine. I still cement the school is at Ayobo, after praying about it, I told my wife, shared it with my wife. I know that it wasn't that easy with her, but she gave me that backup, and I went. It was just like that was a trigger for our own school to start, and it was a very good experience because the school started well and moved up in that environment. And just that same, I think, was it the same year? As in Broshola's...
in fact, the same, we started the session. What happened was that, this long vac, we hold lessons, and, so we have this place that we normally, even because we had the vision of running a school, after our work, there's a hall that we use. So there's this evening lesson we run within the community there. So students, secondary school students come. There is this elderly lady that she'll call my husband and like, why not try primary school? And we were not used to primary. Personally, my experience has been with college or lecturing. So going down to primary was not part of my dream, and he too hasn't handled the primary before. But my husband said, okay, let's give them a try this August holiday. So we now brought in both primary and secondary to hold that very summer holiday. And funny, it was a very wonderful experience because I flowed very well with them. After class, we have time for play, and I was so amazed I could even work with children at that level, So at August, we didn't even know. If anybody tells us that we're going to start school in September, we will say it's a lie.
But you had sown a seed by helping your
So
friend.
he was
Okay.
helping
Was
the
that
friend to
same-
start a lesson, to a holiday lesson, to gather students for September. So while he was there helping the friend, I was busy with our own place there, where we just hold ordinary lessons, you know.
Wow.
So somehow along the street, we now saw this empty whatever advert on you know, a vacant building like that. So we didn't want to show face because we're very popular in the community. So we sent a boy, go and copy the number and bring to us. And then we called the lawyer that was in charge, had a discussion with him, and like joke, it was quite challenging, but it clicked. It clicked. So the money we saved, we gathered the savings together with a little bank whatever that I was using for the bookshop. We put together, and then little support here, there, we were able to start up
a school,
yes, a school
in less than a month.
I'm telling you.
Just because your husband
know,
sowed the seed of
of
kindness
helping a friend.
and helping a friend. Interesting. Ma, I'm interested in a story that you started earlier, but you didn't quite dwell on it.
Okay,
You said that when you were pregnant for the first,
okay.
that was a very challenging time for you. Now, how did you use your faith? First, you need to tell us that experience
Okay.
and how your faith was at work.
Yes, as a new wife, I didn't have the experience of pregnancy before. So I thought I was having typhoid. So I kept vomiting. 1 month, the typhoid had not. And it comes bitter, exactly the way I feel when I'm having typhoid. So I thought it was typhoid until I now went to the hospital because the typhoid wasn't
Going
stopping.
away.
Yes. So I had taken even some antibiotics and all that. But when I now, you know, they said, okay, am I married? I said, yes. Okay, let them do a test. And only to discover that I was pregnant. So for 3 solid months, I was vomiting, no food. It was so serious. When I discovered that it was pregnancy, I said, oh, Father, I thank you. Because the devil had put some impressions in me when I was single that I was not going to have a child. So even before I married, yes, I had started praying ahead for my marriage and pulling down all of those thoughts and whatever, you know. So when it just happened like that, I said, God, I'm grateful. So after 3 months, the whole vomiting stopped and I got my body back. And then when I was not asked,
sorry to
okay,
cut
okay,
you.
sir.
Now, you know, people, there was a day she just told me that they told her that she wasn't going to get pregnant. And I mean, I can't just imagine that. And because people have a way of sowing seeds, and if you are not careful, if you, as a child of God, when you accept them, that is when the devil has a way of penetrating and making that seed that they sowed to be active in one's life. So I actually told her that by God's grace, she should forget about that. Nothing, because of his word, none shall be barren. And it is true. So, sorry, continue.
Okay, so I before I married, because I thank God for my guardian in school then. Is a Christian family. So once in a while, when I'm resuming, I'm there before moving to my hostel. So sometimes he will ask young girls, because we're always there, you know, he's a father, very open, you know. So he will tell us what is our prayer request, and we're like, everybody will talk. I say, young girls, are you not going to pray for your future husbands? So Daddy, we are still young. No. He said, no. I started praying for my wife at the age of 18. So you are not too young to start praying for your life partner and your home. So that created that desire in me to start praying ahead. And then listening to those negative things were like creating fear within me. So I had to start sowing that seed of faith into the future before, you know, we got married. So we married September, I think December God brought the whatever, the pregnancy came. You know, so that was how we, I trailed through. Then when it was time for delivery, that was another faith whatever on its own again. Because I thought I was going for the normal delivery. I didn't know CS was awaiting me.
Wow.
So after laboring for almost a whole day going, they said that I have to go on. We came in the afternoon, and it was midnight that we had the CS. God helped. The baby came forth. Before we could know it, they say there's a problem. That was but God saw us through. He had something on the eye, so I was separated from my baby for like almost 1 week. We were apart. It was not funny for me. I wasn't happy that my baby wasn't close by and all that. So on the 8th day, we were to leave the hospital, and something happened that still proved that God is faithful. We have to sign in different departments. There were forms we needed to fill. We paid everything. But there was this man that was supposed to sign a particular form that was not available. So instead of us leaving that Sunday evening, they said we should wait till Monday morning. I never knew God was doing it to save my life.
Wow.
That very midnight, a terrible bleeding started.
Oof.
And within seconds, everywhere, my blood, I started seeing blood, and before you know it, everywhere was flooded. In seconds, I went white. The nurses couldn't even, it was not a condition that nurses could handle. So they were all wailing, and every confusion took over the whole wherever. And I was just calling Jesus, Jesus, because that was the only thing. Because I didn't know, it was then I knew what they called the icy or the cold hands of death. Because when an ordinary hand touched me then, it was hot like fire. The normal temperature became like hot wherever. I knew I was going. Then suddenly, God came through for me. 5 doctors walked into that very room because they heard the noise and the commotion that was going on. 5 doctors moved in immediately and started different. They wrapped me with something, very one thick, whatever, like blanket like this. Blood was coming this way. In all manner, 5 of them were. In fact, when they saw my file and discovered that I'm under their team, they took my case very serious. And that was how they rounded me up, and back, blood was going, this was going, different things, and God brought me back.
Wow.
So in that stage and in that time, especially the period where you had to wait a whole week in the hospital with your child being given a diagnosis, what were practical things that you did to build your faith, just to encourage someone who might be going through that?
Well, our first child is called Iniolua. Victory, yes. That's God's property. And the scripture that I held on to, that this is your property, Lord, and nothing can tamper with the life. I can't remember any other thing than that word, that children are God's heritage. And the interpretation I had, that it is God's property. And that was what I held on to. It's something that that gives that confidence that when you pray, God answers. Because when she shared what was happening, mine is just that you are going to be alive. And I kept saying that, kept praying on that my wife will not pass on.
Interesting.
Have you shared something about Darasimi?
That was the second pregnancy.
There was another drama.
The second pregnancy.
Okay.
God also saw me through to that stage of delivery, and before, just let me say some weeks to delivery, I was told to go through an X-ray, because they were like, okay, let them, they want to know my pelvis, whatever, whether it's I can still have a normal delivery, since the first one was CS. So after that first X-ray, they said it wasn't clear. They have to subject me to another X-ray, and for me, I don't think it was a very good whatever, going through that kind of radiation and all that. You know, but in faith, I kept praying. I said, God, my baby is safe, because a lot of thoughts were coming. Look at this baby, look at this exposure and what I'm going through. Lord, you will keep us, you know. So, and God was faithful. I said, he that has begun this good work is faithful to complete it. So God saw us through. When the labor started, after laboring for a long time again, I couldn't push through. I had to go to the theater again for you know, and then it was like, God, we are in your hands. And thank God, the person I brought that came around me then was my elder brother's wife, who is my elder brother is a pastor, and the wife too is a believer. So she stood strongly by me, encouraging me that I'm coming out, nothing is going to happen and all that. And God saw me through. Now the CS came out successfully, but the healing became another issue. So the first one, 7 days, it has closed up, and if not for the bleeding, I would have been home. But this one wasn't okay. Because it was that 7th day, they released me. But I discovered that even at that 7th day, the doctor was like, this wound is not closing as it ought to. What's really happening, you know, that we should just go home. If it persists and there's no whatever, I should come back. And I discovered that it was not really. So I had to go back to the hospital for secondary suture. So they have to sew the wound, and it was not a funny experience, you know. But I said, God, I'm coming out of it. So they took a test to know the kind of antibiotics that could really go for me. So we spent heavily. I was just buying they placed me on a very expensive antibiotics, and we kept taking, and yet it was not responding as it ought to. So it became a faith project for me. That God, what do you want me to do? So one day I was lying down on the bed, and I was, okay, so it came like a trance, because it wasn't a dream. And suddenly it was as if there is a net, as if I'm lying on a bed that has a net, a mosquito net. And then hanging inside the mosquito net were many capsules of a particular drug. It was just hanging. And I couldn't understand. I said, God, what is happening? What are you trying to tell me? So I kept thinking about it, and I continued with the medication I was given from the hospital. After a while, I felt deep within me that let me try this drug that God showed me in a trance. Let me try it and see. And in that trance, what I saw was tetracycline, not even the expensive ones I was taking. So I sent someone for a sachet of tetracycline, and I started taking, I swallowed, and then I poured. And within 1 week, I'm telling you, within 1 week, everything closed up. I was amazed. I said, God, is this how caring you were? To the extent of even showing me the ones that doctor could not help. You could show me the one that my body could accept.
Wow.
And as soon as I started it, my body closed up.
Wow.
And the healing came.
Wow.
So that's one of the experiences.
Many journeys.
You know,
Wow.
we've had in the faith journey.
Interesting. Very interesting. So I want to ask, you see that glorious future that you painted to her? You are going to tell us, then you tell us how close you are, or if you're already there and you have surpassed it. So we want to hear.
I read a book, Miles Moreau, Understanding Your Potentials, or Developing Your Potentials. I was almost graduating, and that was what actually shifted my focus. I discovered that it is important for one to to follow one's heart as directed by God. As at that time, what I have is that to teach. So I started moving from one school to another. In fact, the first school, I had it to settle in that school till I finished my PhD. That was what I had in mind till I finished my PhD, until I discovered something that is not with my values when they were to write exams. And I can do any other thing, but I can't assist a person I thought I would not write exam. It doesn't just, I can't just see how it flows. So that was the reason why I moved out of that school, went to other schools. And in the course of time, I discovered getting to know how things work. And by God's grace, eventually I moved to highbrow schools in Lagos. And at any time I'm there, I eventually they ask you, are you a family member? That's how I worked. I just give my all. It doesn't matter the payment, because I have this saying that you can't pay me. I mean, you can't pay me. If you pay me this, I will surpass it in the value I deliver. And today, all those things are working for us. I see people committed to our business, to our school. They do things that I just wonder, why is this person going this extra with this pay? But I remember from time to time that we also, my wife, myself, we've sown in other. I remember one of our schools that we had to print a flyer. When the first platform, we went to distribute.
Excusez-moi, Abi.
Yes. We went to distribute the school's platform.
Without the knowledge
of the owner.
Went to distribute
schools flyer.
Because not your school.
Not our school.
Our employees somewhere.
Wow.
Yes. You printed flyers
because you know that
with your money.
Because the caliber of people we have that.
Would
that's
like that
they can,
kind of school,
that kind of school. And we saw a great response, but they didn't.
The owners never knew.
Till date, they didn't know. So, and that's how we have worked with other people.
By sowing seed.
Yes, and truly it's working for us. Our school is 10 years plus. We're
your own school now.
Yes.
You've found wait, mommy, I know you touched on it. I thought you said it was like a lesson or something.
No, it now transformed. We said we got a vacant wherever, and then that was how we started. Yes, the school started in September.
Primary education.
Yes, primary. We started with primary. I was telling you that we were not used to the primary whatever, but because of the is a 5-bedroom flat exclusive, so there's nobody sharing. But we said, okay, this is not big enough for a college, so let's start the primary, and that was how we started. 4 years after the college.
How did you call for the college? I'm sure there's a story.
Yes.
Do you want to tell us, sir?
Well, I can't remember calling forth.
But
we just knew that we have to move to the next level, because we wanted to buy the property where we were, but the owner refused. On advice by our lawyer, said we should just get and we could rather expand instead of so that's how. And funny enough, all this on the same street, that's where we live. The first school, the nursery and primary, number 6B, the college, number 34. We are on number 38. That's our own. Now, this 34, the building has been there. The building has been there for years, not used. And when it was time, it was just like...
You remember, one of our friends visited.
Okay.
Mama K.
Okay, Mama K.
Yes, so she visited, and when they were leaving our house, she saw this vacant story building about one house away or 2 houses away from us. So she was like, you people should start speaking to this building, so that it will become your second school, So I will remind him that, you remember Mama K told us this speaking in, you know, so we started praying that God, we need a place, give us this place. And it was vacant for like 2-3 years. Nobody was inside. And the school had expanded at the other side, and we were even looking for how we could move to an annex, you know. So that was when this one opened up. So we had these savings that, you know, you know, when you're married and children are coming, the need for a vehicle becomes a serious matter. So
Sure.
the savings was actually meant for, personally, I was like, okay, let's get a car with this thing. For, you know, every time we just be parking children and crossing road. It's not that easy for us. But he insisted that no, that we are still sowing into the business, that we should turn that money over. So I now approached a lady that was staying opposite that building. I said, do you know anybody that has the number that we can connect to this property? So she said yes, that she has, there is a man that works around. So he collected the number that the man can connect with the agent. And that was how we connected, we got the number, and we started the talk. Meanwhile, before we came, other companies were already were on a talk with the agent to get the house. But immediately we called the man and we said school. He said, in fact, good, this is what he really wants. That if he's going for school, no problem, that he would tell the others not to bother. And that was how that one came, and we took it and you know, paid the rent and started using.
Wow.
So it was from there that college sprang up. And then 3 years after again.
Not too long from when the college, when we got that place, we, opposite the primary, the owner of the property wanted to relocate, and he called us that he wanted us to use his property for school. Say, okay, use. Is it for sale or for rent? He said no rent. I said we cannot do. We just rented. We can't be renting and renting. We just rented. We can only do the sales. If it's sales, we can see how we can. So he said no. That's how we did not bother. We left it.
2 years,
It was later. So people rented. It was later that then he traveled.
He had traveled then.
Then later he called that that place is still available. Still available. And within me, I had it that it is the next thing to do. Because already the vision we had for a college is that the college should be on its own, not that you be sharing with, because as at when we started the college, we were sharing it with...
The nursery was using the BQ.
So when he said that, I said, well, if you still want us to use, because the person that rented parked out, he said, we want us to. I said, okay, at the moment, we don't mind coming to rent now, but we don't even have the funds available. He said we should not mind.
Wow.
That we should just have that one, we should just move in on that, we can sort out things later.
In Lagos.
In Lagos.
And if
to move into
like
a house without dropping a dime.
he said we should just move in, that we can sort that out later. We did that. We painted, put the place in.
And we never knew it was in preparation
It was in preparation for COVID.
For COVID that God gave us that space.
Because of the population, if we weren't having extra to maintain what the Ministry of Education stipulated for social distancing, it would have lost many of our pupils.
Wow.
So the school had grown, the space was becoming too small, and then God made provision for this space, and during COVID, rent free in Lagos.
In Lagos.
So that during
to
COVID,
start without paying,
yes,
you know.
Wow. So when COVID came, you were not able to do social
distancing. It was not a problem for us.
And
each school was operating on its own.
It's, it didn't make us to lose students. And eventually we were able to pay for the rent. And
he even slashed almost 45% of the money. For us.
By faith.
Wow.
All by faith.
In fact, I won't forget what he said. When I say, but because initially we'll be looking at on the same street, what would people be saying? And the owner then said, what stops us from taking the whole street?
The whole street.
That thing, I said, yes, that is what is it. Actually, that is where we are going by God's grace.
You have seen it in your mind's eye and it's to come to pass.
Amen. So you've taken about 3 buildings in one street.
Yes.
Okay, great. Do you still have the time given the schedule to pray together as a family, study together, and all of that?
Yes, I think you don't stop what brings results. Like you don't change a winning team, as they used to say. It's important that no matter how busy one is, you just have to find a way out. And again, I have a responsibility for my home. One of the things that we've been doing is when we get back home on Sundays, we do a review.
Before you eat any food.
You from the children's church, what do you have to say? They tell us a story. You know, that one will say our own. From the teens church, what did you learn? Just one, not big, just one thing. What did you pick? And each of them. And then we also from the adult church will share our own. Initially, it wasn't that, but I discovered that we are, even the kids are getting this, they will not do any other thing until that is that. And so it is helpful for us. All of them know that this day,
no pot on fire.
No, you know, to the lowest, the smallest one, until the particular time.
Doing what exactly? Is it a day to fast?
Yes, a day to fast.
I'm interested in the lowest person. The youngest is how old?
She's
8 now.
But
8.
she started at 6 or so.
She started fasting.
Yes, at 6.
Morning to evening.
No, theirs is not to evening. When the school closes, mid-afternoon, they break.
One will pray together, they can break. And from time to time, during holidays, we go for retreats.
As a family?
As a family, we go for retreats. Usually, Shiloh, campus winners is a regular. There's a reason why the Bible says that don't forsake the assembly, the gathering of your people. There's something that rubs off. Sometimes you are weak, you are getting, but when you just hear the word again, or when you see one sister doing something or one brother sharing something, your faith will be stirred up to move on. So it's important, especially at that period of waiting, because at the period of waiting, it's easy to talk now, but when you are waiting, it's a whole lot. So you need, aside your work with God, strong support of genuine believers, which we have by God's grace in the Covenant Nation.
Amazing. My faith has been strengthened just listening to both of you share your story. And I hope, my friend, your faith has also been strengthened. We'd like to thank you, Sarah, for your time. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being so vulnerable. Thank you for letting us know that this God can do the same things and even much more that has happened in your lives, in the lives of others.
My biggest takeaway is that in a city as busy as Lagos, you can maintain family devotion. I mean, personally.
It's not how long, but
Having a word
that's for me, I think it has really helped. I saw my son doing something. I don't know if he's waiting for his admission. He was waiting for his admission, and I saw him in the night praying. You know, I was happy. You know, because at a point in time, I couldn't help him. You've written, you are expecting. So just expect. Things will work out, and eventually something happened that he was admitted.
Wow.
He has his admission in UI.
So the faith has moved from just you saying it to practicing it, and then the children have accepted it and also began to practice in this busy Lagos. That's my biggest takeaway. As a family, you can have what we used to call family altar. Thank you so much, sir and ma, for being here. The Olaleyes have blessed us greatly, and as you know, our viewers, we don't like to leave our guests without a gift or blessing them in return. And so, from Covenant Nation, drum roll.
Oh, wow.
I say, you know, I told you before, sir, you need to take Madam on a date after
this.
And this will convince you further.
Wow.
So this is the first time I'm hearing your voice so loud. The wow was loud. On behalf of Covenant Nation, Ines,
Yes.
we'd like to present you both with this. Thank you for blessing us. Can you remain seated? Can you remain seated?
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so
blessing us.
It's such a
Your
beautiful
story.
picture.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Really
sir.
appreciate it.
Well, maybe
We
you
appreciate
definitely
you.
put this in the next property. The one that is coming forth on the streets.
The entire
The
street. Thank you.
Wow, thank you
We
so
also
much.
appreciate the Covenant marriage team for giving us this opportunity to share our faith with us. Thank you.
Thank
You have been a blessing.
More-
Thank you.
Much more grateful.
Thank you so much.
Thank
We are
you, sir
grateful.
and ma.
Wow, if you haven't been blessed by this episode, I mean, I have personal notes that I have noted, and also going to take some scriptures behind this scene and to birth new things. Indeed, marriage is a journey, and faith is a big part of marriage. And we like to thank the Olaleyes again for their time, and also to thank you for staying with us.
Till we meet again next time, Eunice.
Bye from me.
Bye.